I think they're all back.
Okay. Well, welcome back from the break. As I said earlier, we tried to squeeze as much time out of the last presentation as possible so that we can add it to this discussion. But even so, we only have about a minute and a half, unfortunately, to hear each of the reports. So we'll ask the reporters to give us a bottom line on any new insights that emerged, but it's also okay to say we're stuck and we reflected instead on the hopelessness of our current situation. There needs to be space for that too. So I'll go right to room one. We'll go in order. So whoever was the speaker for room one, if you could wave your hand so we see who that is, and then you could begin speaking. Okay, Larry, take it away.
Don't forget to unmute
Yes,
yourself.
you need to unmute, Larry.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you. I assumed that our task was to look for breakthrough so we could strengthen the movement for World Federation, and we discussed that. And just to summarize things, one suggestion was to find a famous person that would articulate our case to the general public. Another idea was a major public relations campaign, assuming we could develop sufficient funding for it. Another idea was to build up our CGS membership from its rather low level so that we could actually become a mass movement with chapters all over the country. A third idea was to promote Tad Daly's book, since that's going to be making the case for World Federation. Another idea was to do a greater outreach to the non-English speaking people of the world. That is, they have a good deal to gain by World Federation, but an English language version of the campaign wasn't going to reach them necessarily. Another idea suggested was to organize the tens of millions of stateless people, refugees now, and therefore here are people who don't have allegiance to any nation, who are desperately seeking to go somewhere else, and so they should be particularly interested in. Oh, that means time's up, Donna?
Yes,
right.
time's up.
All right.
No, well, but this is great. We're going to advocate for getting your group back together again. The productivity seems to be endless. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go on to group two. Could the spokesperson wave their hand so we can actually see who's speaking? Okay, Larry David, take it away.
now we hit on a few things, a general consensus that the approach that Andreas Rummel was advocating, and also Fernando Iglesias, that those two routes, parliamentary assembly and regional federations, appear to be consensually adopted by our group as the likely pathways, the others appearing to be blocked. There was also, and Ron Glossop will appreciate this, the strong, compelling pitch for a common language to be focused on in the world, and that it would be transformative. We talked about artificial intelligence as an alternative to that, and the possibility of computer translations. And there, of course, there was some focus on the declining democratic strength and the growing autocratic strength, and how to promote and better support the democracies, and finding countries that would do that, democratic countries that would come together purposefully to defeat autocracies.
Thank
Great.
you, Larry. Time's up.
Thank you. Terrific. Man, we're going to be very busy with all these ideas. Okay, breakout room 3, I see David Orton's hand.
In one way or another, our group had emphasized all 5 roads towards a world federation. One idea was to focus on a particular problem like climate change and create a kind of mechanism that could solve and focus on one particular problem, the way the European Union began. Another one would be to expand the European Union, since it's been successful, to try and promote that in other parts of the world. Then there was strong support for uniting the democracies and also for trying to reform the current United Nations by the Articles 109. And then another person mentioned that we need to find politicians who will support the idea, just as WFA had a number of American politicians who supported World Federation. We need to find more in the present time in order to move forward.
Great. Thank you, David. Okay, our next group is group 4, breakout room 4. Okay, Jane, you need to go off mute and take it away.
So we focused on ways of getting popular support. One idea that came out was to, if we could partner with an organization like Global Citizen that has the numbers, not really the ideas. Another one was to point out to people who it is that benefits from the current system and how they're disadvantaged by that. We also talked about having somebody run for office and have World Federation be part of their platform, just as a way of getting attention, getting the idea out there. We talked about social media possibilities. And I think the idea that got the most traction and the one we developed in the most depth was a letter writing campaign to Congress members. And we decided that a good topic for that kind of campaign would be the UNPA. Do you know about this? Would you be interested in participating? So that's what came out of our group.
Great. Terrific. Thank you so much. Group 5. We have a spokesperson for group 5. Okay, Drea.
We actually hit quite a bit of walls, just because, the ultimate vision is, to a quote, like not on 99% of people's radar. And also there's concerns of like the coalitions that are formed and what their the others' agendas are, and then politicians coming in actually that may take over, and their agendas may be not as altruistic as World Federalists. And then there's, of course, always the concern of corruption. And how do we structure in a way to keep that? So that kind of held us back. But then there was one really, like we need to have more academic discussions on what's going on, academically. And Joe Schwartzberg was brought up. And then we were like, well, we can actually take some of these ideas and put them into play in real world, especially in the hands of youth, to help them. So it's not just an academic and theoretical, but then it becomes this real world thing, solution that we can all work on together. But anyways, we had more walls than we had solutions, I'm afraid.
Okay. More walls than doors at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Last but not least, group 6. Okay, Claire.
Yes, we decided that we didn't need to wait for people to appoint some politicians to write a constitution, that individuals could do it themselves, like the Declaration of Human Rights, which was just written by a person. And also, there tend to be quite a few people who are anti-intellectual a bit. So not to be held back, there are a few people in the world that like to be involved. And we recommend that they just form a parliamentary assembly based on Joe Schwartz's proportions, and other people can join in.
Great, thank you so much. I must say, I'm glad we're recording this so we can review it and get all these ideas. I haven't gotten approval from my board to say this, but as executive director, I'd like to say you're all hired. But first we got to raise the money. So you'll hear back from me. But since we can't start the salaries right away, we can give you a break for all the hard work that you've done. So we'll go into a break. We're going to change gears now and go into our annual awards ceremony after the break. So we have